there's also a reality in the business world because a couple of them have told me, it's like, dude, it's like fucking dead, man. There's no jobs, nothing. And even in the industry here, people are being sent home for like 3 days a week. They get half
Yeah.
pay, you know,
Well, there's
even
also the whole fact that they're like, I think China and the US is just getting their like their robotic workforce that can do virtually everything that a factory worker can do. That thing can do 24/7 and
yeah,
it just needs maintenance. So
reminds
like,
me of
uh,
Rick Champ Redemption or whatever the
yeah,
fuck.
well, it's like we are in that phase. Like in the next few 5 to 10 years, a lot of physical labor is going to let go because they're going to have like the Optimus robots
Yeah.
for like
And
a $10,000 investment, and
yeah,
then you got yourself a freaking worker that'll give you 3 years of 24/7 work with no off time and everything like
yeah,
that. So it's like
that's
it's a
fucking ridiculous.
no-brainer where that's going.
Yeah, no.
Um, and that's a reality. So the companies are already preparing for that. They're just not telling anybody. Like they know, like the top dudes are like, dude, it's coming. Like that's
Yeah, I
why,
mean,
I
look
mean,
at Volkswagen in Germany. They just fired 70% of their force in the
mhm.
factory in Germany.
Elon Musk did it too. He let like
That's
7,000
10,000
Tesla.
people. Yeah.
He let like 7,000 Tesla workers go because now they're gonna have like robots to take over that stuff. So
And that's
the
half of what a worker gets per year.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
they get an
So
average
it's
salary of $25,000 a year.
yeah,
And no
exactly.
brainer.
And so
Just to
you
work.
take half of that for a fucking full time for double the amount of productivity. Well, it's a no brainer. That's where we're
I
going.
mean,
And same with AI.
I can even see myself having fucking robot workers eventually. Just
Of course, why not, dude? And
doing
automated
maintenance.
trucks,
Yeah, maintenance.
automated
They're doing all that shit. Imagine that.
automated trucks that works on the fucking GPS satellite and it's like armor plated, and you just like, all right, send it there. You know, it's the future is coming quicker than most people realize, and that's the big thing. So, like, the key is adaptation, and right now is you need to identify number one market need. People are desperate, people are crazy, people are that. So, what the fuck can you
Well,
offer them? Yeah,
but I've always identified why and how am I different than most of these coaches out there. Like
yeah,
most of the coaches are always focusing on the intangible and the etheric, like they're
yeah,
always like, you got to vibe right, fix your vibe and all this shit. But they don't
yeah,
give you, and that's totally, I'm 100% on board with that. But
yeah.
it's like turning on Google Maps and sitting in your garage, hoping you'll get to your destination.
Yeah,
You need to drive.
I just heard well, I saw this clip of this dude that's got a channel called Mind and Magic. He's like an old school magician, and he's all about like he's got knowledge, the dude. And he spoke about action is the oil to the engine. Like you
Yes.
can't like the intention is the okay, I've got the destination and stuff, but the universe can't work until you activate motion,
Yeah,
and
it's like
that's
it's a cause
the
and effect
key
thing, so
ingredient. Yeah, it's like the intention and the desire and the vibe. It just sets you in the right path.
yeah,
But you
intention
need to,
is turning on the engine,
yeah,
desire and like vibing, right, is putting on the Google Maps, but
yeah, yeah.
action
You
is
gotta
the oil. I like
action is
it.
pressing that acceleration pedal
Yeah.
and moving the thing in that direction.
Yeah. And then
And
you
on
got
the
to kind
way,
of
the universe
follow the
will,
map.
yeah,
Exactly.
the universe will respond and it will provide the situations and the reality around you will begin changing and shifting and humans dynamics will alter. But at the end of the day, as long as you keep that vibration, you keep that pedal going, you'll reach the destination. It's pretty simple, but it's
Yeah, it
much
is, but it's
more
like,
difficult to execute.
yeah.
That's where
So
the
So
yeah.
in
Anyway,
short, like I
yeah,
think that my programs are more practical in the sense of,
yeah,
okay, dude, great. Like, my if I could summarize all of my philosophy in one concept, it's basically self-discovery, you know,
yeah,
because if you know who you really are and you are strong with your own principles and you completely obey what's in your heart, like the Crowley stuff,
Yeah.
And basically just do what thou wilt, but not in the egocentrical way, but more of
Yeah.
a,
Well, the whole quote is like I can't remember what's
I
the
remember you told me before.
but
Made
it's
more sense.
about under love, like will under love. It has to be through love.
It has to be
Like,
like sort of aligning yourself with the universal principles too, where you're not raping the universe. It's
yeah,
like you're
exactly.
you're
You must come
doing,
in alignment, and
yeah,
then
you're
that will,
manifesting your nature, you know,
yeah,
as simple as nature does it.
yeah,
Trees, animals, everything. All they
exactly.
do to be perfect, happy, satisfied, prosperous, all this shit
Yeah,
is they
is
really
peace.
submit to their own design. They submit
Yeah,
to their own nature.
yeah,
So my whole concept is really that, and helping you to really be honest with yourself and just saying, you know what, I'm
yeah,
not
to
that
discover
motherfucker.
that nature.
I'm
Like
not somebody
you,
else. Yeah.
yeah,
I don't have these
to
these
remove
recipes. Yeah.
all these excess like stories that we've built around us to like identify who we are. Like where I'm generating um like income, at least 3,500, $4,000 a month. And then like then I know in my heart I won't uh panic. If I know I'm generating that every month, like consistently on my own assets, not
Yeah, you have
dependent.
fuck you money in a sense.
Yeah, exactly. Residuals, man. That's the
Well, that's what
thing.
I'm
It's not,
saying. And even this concept, like,
yeah,
ties into that for myself because I've noticed many mistakes that I've made out of fear. Like,
mhm,
um, what's my biggest fear? You know, my biggest fear is uh, probably rejection, but more than that, like as a father, like I think it's matured in a different way.
yeah,
I fear like the times that I've made that I've not been myself,
yeah,
the times that I've like been a pussy and sort of submitted myself to Ethan, and
yeah,
okay, dude, I'm not gonna stand up to this guy right now because if I do it, then I could probably lose my family, my income, and it will affect my
yeah,
family.
yeah,
And what I fear more, I fear not being able to, make it this month. And then it's like
yeah,
fucking rent, food, all this shit, blah blah blah. And it's just like you're living in a cycle of constant worry that tomorrow is gonna be a fucking shitty time because you're not gonna have money, you're gonna have a bad ambient in the house, and it's like,
mhm,
you know, so sometimes you suck dick because you're afraid that that person that's sticking the dick out at that time is gonna take
yeah,
away whatever crumbs you're getting from that person at the
yeah,
moment, you know.
yeah,
And I mean, I understand. I personally think that it's also not good to be like, yeah, well, fuck you. I'm just like immaturely, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like a child telling people to go fuck themselves.
Well, the thing is, I always look at life as like, who was I then and who am I now? And in
Absolutely,
retrospect, we're all idiots. Like we're all dumb. And
absolutely, dude.
in retrospect, you're like, I should have done this and I
Yeah,
should have done that. And it's like, well, in that moment, under that state, you thought that the actions that you were doing, even though it tasted bitter in your mouth and you know that this isn't what you want, but you're like, fuck, I don't have other options. At least within my current state of awareness, I don't see any other escape. Now,
exactly.
that
So sorry,
you
I
can't,
don't want to sway from it. What I'm saying
yeah,
is,
go for it. Sorry.
what it
Yeah,
does is it makes me not be me, you know?
yeah,
Instead of being a fucking lion that tell people to go fuck themselves,
yeah,
when they're wrong. I'm like, no, okay, yeah, we'll look at it. We'll try. We'll like I pacify you know, my monster, you know.
yeah,
And I do it because I'm afraid of I'm going to offend these people and then I'm going to lose this income, you know? But what I'm saying is I should be able to operate in my nature without fuck you money, you know?
Yeah,
Because that's where I've noticed most of things in my life has gone wrong. Not
yeah,
operating in my true nature, letting other people do things that I know I should be doing because I'm better at it
yeah,
and I'm fucking
yeah,
a better leader or whatever,
yeah,
So so what I'm saying is, I'm really getting to a point where it's been so frequent in the last couple of years where I've denied myself and then anyway shit fucks up. Anyways,
yeah.
things don't work, you know?
And
So
could even be especially because, you know what I'm saying? It's like because you did that, that's why it fucked up.
yeah,
If
because
you
people
if
get a
you would
wrong
have,
image of who I am also.
yeah,
Even the
yeah,
people that oppresses you or whatever, they get a wrong image of who you are because you're
yeah,
not really this fucking compliant motherfucker.
yeah,
You're actually a uncontrollable,
yeah,
rebellious.
force.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah,
like,
you're a
and so
storm.
you're killing yourself. You're not being your true self, you know? So the whole thing, just summarizing it, that's what I want to help myself do, like
Yeah,
we know that all things that we teach to other people, we're actually trying to learn ourselves, like,
yeah,
so
100%.
I don't feel guilt also in that sense, like,
No, but the thing
yes,
is, like, this is a journey, and this is a thing that you've been doing since Dad did
yeah,
that and forced you and your friends to take a self-discovery course led
yeah,
by a special forces operative.
yeah,
So, like, and like a master NLP practitioner and a master negotiator and a master people person and problem solver, et cetera, et cetera. So, and same with me. Since I was 16, I was doing self-discovery and NLP, and even before that, a little bit like reading and getting in it. And then dad
before that,
taught
bro, I
us
mean, I
the
must say
process.
that I'm very thankful that you're in my life, as I've many times said, but
Yeah,
I remember when we were in the church and I was like so fucking hooked on phonics,
yeah,
that
phonics.
and you came up here with yo, you gotta read this NLP book, man. It's like fucking basically the same as what we're doing in church and da da da. And it's like, no, fucking you're fucking with my programming. Fuck you, Genre.
It's called the structure of magic.
Yeah, dude,
Magic's
exactly.
in the word.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then like, that initial rejection, but you have the way in me to lay seeds,
yeah,
and I think I've done that with you too at some stages in your life, but
yeah,
in that sense, you kept me on the path of enlightenment,
yeah.
like
Well, the thing is, it's really just a process, and that course. I always go back to that course that Dad gave us. Like it's something that was a fundamental, um,
it was a deep
like
fucking truth.
moment in
Yeah,
my mind, and that
was.
not only benefited us, but everybody who did that learned how to sort of like deal with life. It's like the fundamentals on what the fuck when shit goes wrong, how do you react without being subjected to emotion, without being subjected to that. So you've got the OODA methods, you've got all of these different tools that like is like here's a toolbox on how to deal with shit, how to get shit done. This is what this is the fundamental lesson that Dad gave us. Like he's like, I gave you everything I could. And that was a toolkit on how, like a sort of a Swiss Army knife on how to just deal with the plethora of shit that's happening. And I think today, in a world where shit's changing so fast, people are in that fight or flight because that's really what you describe, right? Is the freezing, not being your natural self, but freezing before the situation and then doing whatever you can, evading the problem. And these are all things that was taught to us also in that self-discovery program. It was like, how do you can diffuse a problem, you can prolong a problem, you can completely solve
Right.
it, get rid
You
of it.
can you
Here's
can
the options.
confront
It's
it
not just
immediately.
like,
Right.
yeah, like what I loved about it is like it's not just like, oh, you got to solve this problem. It's like, no, sometimes you can't. Sometimes you need to diffuse it. And you need to
Hmm.
leave it there. It's like the problem with a
Yeah,
diffused problem
that's kind of crazy that you
is,
mentioned that, man, because
you know,
you know, just like reminiscing, but one of the things that I want to do is sort of leave like a guidebook for my kids,
yeah,
written down for all of our generations. And
yeah,
but dad did it like that, you know.
yeah.
That's how he did it for
There's
us.
I watched this anime
Fucking
uh
crazy.
called Doctor Stone.
And now you know why
And
adults back then was like all impressed with dad doing this shit.
oh yeah, no, dude, it's revolutionary. I think every kid at like 16 should learn this shit
Yeah.
because it really gives you just a sense of like asking those right questions about yourself and to like put yourself through a process of refinement so that you can get to that core self, that true self. Because
Yes.
the thing is, the problem with everything is that we are an illusion to ourselves. Like we don't know who the fuck we are. I don't know who the fuck I am.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
though I come across a lot of times as like a stable dude, and like, he's like, oh, he's got his shit together. No, I don't. I don't
You're
know who I
seeking.
truly am. I don't know that. Like I have a sense of it, and I follow my path unapologetically. That's the one thing that I get to a point of say, fuck it. Like I don't need to impress anyone. I don't need to do that. I need to take care of business. Like, what the fuck is happening in front of me? What is the problems that's in my vicinity and my control? And I don't give a shit about anything beyond that, really. Like I concern of interest. I research stuff. I've been writing on weed for like 15 years, so I look into these things. And policies shift and wars happen and stuff like that. But if the war's not happening here around me right now, I can say, I'm sorry that that shit's happening. If somebody brings me a paper to sign that we shouldn't be doing that, I'm down for it. But beyond that, I don't have any control over that situation. And as a result, uh, it's not worth my time, it's not worth my attention. So for me, all I do is I focus on this, like, who are you and what is the situation requiring of you to prove or to get rid of or to integrate or to like completely
To learn to,
redefine,
yeah.
or unlearn or whatever that the situation requires. But I stopped giving a shit about the destination, really. Like I want shit, like everybody. I have desires. I want to grow more wealthier as I can and expand my wealth beyond my imaginations and my limitations. Because one of the things I do believe is that that kingdom on earth as it is in heaven. Like I believe in that principle of taking the divine and
And bringing it.
manifesting it. And I believe each and every person has this divinity that can be sparked. Exactly. That's where we're at. I believe in those principles. And so I believe in the getting to that authenticity is the key and is the key to alignment. Like authenticity is the key to
Exactly.
alignment.
Exactly,
And
dude.
alignment
I'm
uh,
anyways taking
will,
notes of things.
yeah. So like alignment will bring you into alignment with the cosmic will. So your will become what the universe wants. It's the same thing. There's no difference. That's where you get the joy and the gratitude. That's where you get that. That's how you bring it into your life. And then your shit starts working out. You're like, oh, I want to do this, and boom, it just happens. And wow. And it's like, well, it's because you're in alignment now. When you're out of alignment, you'll just like fucking just run into walls and
Totally, bro.
it's a nightmare.
Totally. And
So
that's what I guess that's the root cause of all of the other consequences in our life.
all of
Like
suffering. Yeah.
if we can just
Suffering.
fix the root cause, which is basically, dude, I'm not who I really am.
Yeah.
I'm
This is the
denying
first
parts of
lesson.
myself.
Yeah.
Why am I doing that? Because I'm afraid. I'm
Yeah.
afraid.
Why am I afraid?
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
afraid because if I do it, I'm gonna cause a bunch of shit in my life. People's gonna
mhm.
reject me. They're not gonna accept what I'm telling them at that stage, and
And
that's
why does that scare you?
yeah, because you think you can lose everything. Rejection is
What?
a tribal fear.
Yeah,
Like we're afraid in our DNA of rejection, not just socially, like it's
yeah,
actually biologically infused in our DNA over thousands of years. We have ancestral memory. So
yeah.
so that's something we're dealing with, like we're
Being
dealing with,
exiled.
yeah,
Yeah,
because I've done survival camps. I've been alone in the mountains. Like,
yeah,
remember, I went 5 days, I
yeah,
took food and everything. I didn't like eat off the land, but I took
yeah,
food. I used it scarcely. It was a lot of planning, I had like a
yeah,
ration pack basically to be able to
yeah.
stay.
Amount of calories you can consume a
Yeah.
day. And yeah,
5 days I could stay there, even more, but and I went like in the September times or some shit like that. It was cold still, but anyways, being alone and surviving alone is a very difficult thing, and it always is scarce, like it's
yeah,
always scarce. Once you're in a tribe, you're setting up shop, you got people helping you doing things, then you can start prospering, you know
yeah,
it's very difficult to prosper when you're alone. So you're
yeah,
afraid of being alone,
yeah,
in the sense of what my major monster that I had to face or have to face in my life is poverty and
yeah,
finances.
yeah,
I have had since, and you too, since before dad died and we lost his business, he lost his business. Since then, we've been suffering for money. We've been
yeah,
in the survival state because we don't play by the rules. We don't
yeah.
like to play by the rules. There probably were ways for us to get studies and shit like that. We could have probably
But
done.
there was a million ways for us to do things,
Yeah.
but that wasn't who we were. And
No,
that was
we
also
took
not
decisions
like,
at that stage.
once again, it's like we can look back and see all of the mistakes that we made.
Yeah.
But in that moment, I was 18 years old and
Yeah.
I just lost my dad. And we were being kicked out of a house and we
Yeah.
watched the dude die.
Yeah.
And uh, we had a depressed mom.
Fucked up.
We had like 300,000 pesos of debt that was magically poofed away. That
Yeah.
was like crazy. Then we magically got a house,
Yeah.
but we were
But it
broken.
was weird. It was shitty. It was like the fucking worst
And
thing.
and we only had a father for 5 years. Like
Really.
all the other times prior to that, he was more of like a mirage. He was there, but he wasn't there. He was
It was a
spoken of,
concept.
yeah, but he wasn't part. Like I am part of my kid's life. I am part of them. I hang out with them. I interact with them on a day-to-day basis. You do the same. And the thing is, dad didn't do that. Then when we got a dad, he lived for 5 years, then died. And in those five
Yeah. And
years,
the last year he was skinny as shit and we were going to church
yeah,
3 times a week.
yeah, walking because we didn't have a car. We were just
Yeah.
fucked. And so it
Walking
was
like
like
5 kilometers of fucking there and five back.
in blistering sun, and
10K.
so then after that we were in this like complete dark cave. We were selling fucking pastries to people, and just really at that moment, church was everything. And so it's like broken in darkness, not knowing what to do. And then you did the only thing that you could do, and that was what was in front of us. And once again, it's like you can't judge that person for the decisions that they made.
Operated with
And
what he knew.
yeah, you were operating on a different system. Nowadays, you're more aware of that, and you've gone through those processes. So now the lessons have been learned and integrated. You've done the work. So now you no longer need that reality. The reality and suffering is a constant variable in the universe. Everything suffers, everything withers, and everything dies. So, if it is a constant variable, then it's also an important variable that we have to understand its purpose. And I think the one of the purpose of us is suffering, because suffering is like if you're aligned on the path, there is no pain. There's just the bliss. Even though you go through hard times, it's like, oh, I'm fine. It's good. We'll get through this, you know. But if you're off the path and you're misaligned and you're operating under false uh, programming, then suffering starts appearing. And the longer you stay in it, the more painful it becomes. And suffering is as pain is sort of just an indicator like, hey, you're off the path. You gotta course correct. Get out of this shit. This is painful. This is gonna get worse. And so when you're fucked, that's the whole purpose of being fucked. It's like, oh, this terrible trauma happened to me. Yes, that's the purpose. It's like this is the wake up call. This is coming online. This is now you have the choice to either be consumed by this or to utilize this to really unearth and take off those masks. Because that's what the pain catalyst is about. It's about breaking that armor, that
Yeah.
bullshit that you've surrounded yourself with. And then you
Right.
go, ah, and we're
Right.
free. Now,
Yeah.
as a new being, this situation and this trauma and this suffering doesn't belong to you anymore. So you can elevate and you can go back onto your path. You
Yeah.
can start walking to that alignment. So that's really what it's about. And so I don't judge them. We could have done stuff. We were against the rules. That's just how we were operating. So fuck it. It's great. And you can, even despite all of that, you're still here today.
Right.
So what are we doing? Well, I'm trying to teach this shit to my kids so that they don't have to take that long detour to get to
And
this
also,
point.
on top of that, because of that whole situation, like I would like to change the financial situation of my house, of me, so that my
Yeah,
kids can have somewhere to start from, because
yeah,
it was fucking hard, dude.
yeah,
It's fucking hard. We always run into people that have friends that have parents that, like, help them buy a house or
yeah,
paid for their fucking wedding or
yeah,
did shit like that, like, or hey, we're in trouble. We can ask even dad. He asked fucking grandpa for money sometimes,
yeah,
you know.
exactly.
So
But that
it's
was a
like,
program. That's what we had. Dad was not an amazing money guy. He didn't really know how to administrate
no,
that, and it's probably because he left his house when he was super young and didn't have a father figure. And it's the
he went to
same
the
fucking
army,
story.
bro. And his
Yeah, and the
father
arm,
obviously wasn't good with money either
yeah,
because the
it's like,
motherfucker lost everything anyway.
yeah,
So,
exactly. So the point is like that's the programming that's the hand that you were dealt. Poverty was ingrained
right.
deep within your mind. And like one of the things that helped me break that was a ritual that I did. Um, you should maybe you should talk to Heidi and just like talk to dad. You
I
should
could do
maybe do
that.
that.
I don't know, man. I don't feel the need to do that. Like, I'm
Okay.
really,
Well, what the reason is because I did that. I went and said, all right, let's fucking do it. And let's talk. And it felt weird because I was like, I don't want to believe it. I really didn't want to. But at the same time, there was like some shit that was very consistent. And I was like, okay. And the message was really simple. The message was like, I gave you everything I could. And that was the same message that dad gave me on his deathbed. I was like, oh fuck, okay, this is weird. But anyway, that
yeah,
wasn't the
man.
point. The
Yeah.
point was after that, she said, hey, you got to do a ritual and you got to break all the promises that you did unconscious with your mother and your father. And so I did that ritual. And like you have to write down shit on a piece of paper and then some candles. And then at sunset, you burn the ashes and you throw them, you walk through them, and you sort of just like cut those ties and those promises and those commitments that you did. There's unconscious
Oh,
shit.
what kind of, do you know what kind of commitments? Like, what kind
All
of
of them,
things? But what do you
all of
mean?
them.
Whoa.
Like,
Give me an example.
yeah, you're the eldest son, right? So as an eldest son, you have responsibilities. You have responsibilities to take care of the family. You have
Right.
responsibilities to do all of these things. Whatever promise that you unconsciously, and this is what you have to do, you have to sit down and meditate on that. I'm like, mom, boom, boom. And you just like all the promises that you made to mom. in your mind, and all of a sudden
Right.
you break that those past commitments and the ones that they expect of you as well. And you just
Right.
take it off and you walk away. And that for me was one of those things was about poverty. Like you told me about her, about Opa, then dad, and all of these things, and how they were so fucking poor that that was something, that was an agreement, a generational agreement that I did not sign up for,
Right.
like not me. And so when I did that, I felt an immediate shift in my like consciousness. I was like, I'm no longer bound to those laws, to those things, because this is not me. I choose the path from here forward. And so that's why I would suggest it, because I don't remember exactly the ritual. But or you could just do a consultation about if whether
Well,
there's
the end of it
blocks.
all is just like, okay, dude, like,
Yeah,
I'm gonna break some ties.
yeah,
Like that's
exactly.
already going in a positive direction.
Yeah.
And
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 freeing yourself from all of those
hey,
expectations because you are the eldest, so there was expectations, unconscious, unspoken.
well,
It's
also
there,
things that I
and
needed to do, like,
yeah,
uh, I don't know, it's like roles I needed to take or whatever because of the
yeah,
situation.
exactly. And the things that don't belong to you, you don't need. It's
Right.
not yours, so we don't need to carry it, and we get rid of it. So the point is, I think like in terms of poverty, at least in my case right now, I feel that I'm like stepping out of that zone completely. I'm like completely, and I'm like where I'm working towards and where I'm getting to, I know I can achieve it. And I do get fearful. I get fearful because sometimes there's a lot of silence in work and there's a lot of stuff like that. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like, talk to me, people, you know? But so far it's good. And where I'm heading towards and the tools that I have available right now, I know that even in the worst case scenario, it'll be for my better. Like I will get like whatever. If it's a little hard, I will get through it. And if it's and I'll get through it quickly. It's not gonna be like, oh, months and years and shit like that. And I think in your case, like this last dip that you had was all sort of like, you have to let go of all of the bullshit in the past to embrace the new shit in the future.
Yeah.
You can't take the baggage with you. And like
Yeah,
I
dude.
said, some suffering is a key ingredient for personal growth because it tells you shit, something's off.
Yeah, it's the
Like
boiling
you might
pot.
not, yeah, and you might look at the obvious. I'm like, oh, I don't have money and I heard of this. No, no, no. Those are symptoms.
Yeah,
Something's
exactly.
off. So how the fuck do you get to that what is that offness and heal it and,
Right.
and integrate it and or get rid of it? That's what the fundamental is. And I think in your case, dude, you're there. Like I think you've done the alignments that you needed to do. Your business, you registered that shit. That's action. That's movement. That's despite the fact that shit's going down. You're like, no, I'm fucking moving forward with this. And every day you got to try to move that thing forward as a signal to the universe. Like, hey, dude, I'm still doing this shit. No matter what the fuck you're doing. I don't know what the fuck you do. I know what the universe has planned because it's an infinite mind, and my finite mind can't comprehend it. So if I
Right.
try to do it, I'll influence it. And I'd rather just say, fuck it. Like I know what I want, I set it out there, and the universe is doing its work. God is doing what it needs to do. And then you just focus on the actions. And so that's why it's important to do this little bit of, even if it's just like checking an email or writing some shit or
Totally, man.
sitting down and
I
physically
see.
thinking about, like, for example, and I'll give you an example. I might not write my novel every day, but it's on my mind every day. Every day, I'm like, oh, what if this and that and this? If I can change this, and then I'm not just thinking about the novel, I'm thinking about the marketing material. I'm thinking about the launch dates, thinking about the cover art. Do I want to change it a little bit like that? So my mind is constantly pointing towards this singular like objective that I want to manifest even though I might not physically do the actions every day.
Right.
But I try to do a physical action every day. Sit down and just write a paragraph or edit a paragraph and get it like moving forward. Because I need to get it past the next step. So the next step can happen and then things falls into play. I want to make $10,000 a month from residual income sources, whether it's my books, whether it's some courses, whether it's my YouTube channel, whether it's X revenue, whatever. Um, that's the objective. It's not a physical thing. It's not like, oh, I want this one thing. No, I want to have $10,000 come into my account every single month, and after taxes and all of that shit. And you have my works be the basis of that. So I am no longer dependent on anybody else,
Exactly.
and it's only my actions and my systems that I set up that's helping me generate this. And so in that
That's
moment,
totally right.
I
So it's
can
like sort
choose
of,
to do what projects I want.
yeah, no, that's totally like, the correct steps, because it's like self-sufficiency before adding to a team. Like
Hmm.
it's like, okay, you gotta dominate your situation, get your stuff sus,
Yeah,
and then you're going to be able to add real value to other teams. And that's where
yes,
that's where the tribe thing comes in, like
yes,
you got to be a very good hunter. You got to be a very
yeah,
good farmer. You got to be a very good water system creator, whatever the fuck you're doing, in that
yeah,
society. Because that's what it is. I mean, the suffering's there, yes, but it's there to make you wake up. Absolutely.
yeah,
And
yeah,
wake up to what? To who you are, you know?
yeah,
Now you know who you are, exactly, you value yourself, you know?
yeah,
Now you can join a team and know when your principles are being overstepped with, and then handle them,
yes,
you know?
yes,
And eventually, and that will create prosperity, like just
yeah.
being with a group of people that can do what you want to do.
That's
Sorry.
really the way it's got to be, it's supposed to be, is a construct. The way it is the only true fact. Like
Right.
what is it is. And so
Right.
at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what people do because there's no prescribed way of living. Certain actions create certain results. If those results end up hurting you, then you change your actions to have more positive results that keeps on growing. It's not like life isn't complicated. And it's not about tolerance and acceptance and stuff like that. It's just about absolute acceptance that reality is what it is. Some people won't gel with you. Their vibes are completely off. Like some people I sit there and I'm like, I can't, like, for example, I do not like people that's deeply into a sports team, for example. Not that I don't like them, I just don't enjoy the conversations that I have with those people when we're at a game because they'll tell me the deep lore of their team, the strategies, why it's important, but I don't give a shit like about it. It doesn't matter to me if your team is better than the other team and that 7 seasons ago they did X, Y, or Z. Just as much as I don't, watch the Young and the Restless, I don't care for
Right.
these. So I don't go to their things. Not because I don't like them as a person. It's just the thing that you're doing doesn't gel with what is
Right.
interesting to me. And that doesn't mean that I don't want you to do your thing. By all means, do your thing and be the best at your thing that you can be. But I'm going to do my thing with the people that like to enjoy the things that I like to do. And then we can all just be cool and fucking live life. And that's really what my core philosophy is. Like I don't care about
Right.
anybody's beliefs as long as they're not really like harming others, as long as
Yeah,
they're
but
not
what I'm trying to get at
trying to
is
impose
right.
their will on others. That's really where I draw the line. It's like, all right, okay, sorry, you fucking overstepped one bound, very simple boundary to not overstep. Just leave other
Well,
people. One thing, you know how a mastermind works, right? Like in
it's
reality. Like, as the essential concept of a mastermind is that you create a network of people that can help you solve other problems in your life.
right.
That's really the simple, basic definition. It's like, oh, I'm not very good at money, so I'm going to tap into the resources of another person that I'm also benefiting because of my skill set. So it's like you make compatibilities between groups of people, and so as opposed to working as an individual trying to solve a problem, you now have like a council that helps you solve problems. And this council helps solve each other's problems. So that's really the key of a mastermind is like you're using multiple minds to help solve a singular problem. So you get multiple perspectives on the same thing. And then bam, wham, now you have an economic plan for your business. You're a fucking carpenter, but this economist helped you work out this amazing way to scale your business, and you helped him fucking get the best deal on his house, because that was the problem that you have. And that's the core fundamental of a mastermind. But when you do it for business, it's all business related. So you can like adjust it towards different lenses. So it's like, okay, business. So now in this mastermind, only business owners can come in and nobody else. And what you're going to do is like you're going to have different business people talk with each other. And it's basically creating a miniature network, private network, and a council that makes you have better decisions and more perspectives. And the key fundamentals for running a successful mastermind is just to have the tools available to take the input of these individuals and make it into usable data. That's really the thing. So like you got to make it so that you have to establish the communication between these nodes in the program, and then when they can communicate effectively and freely, and they've gone through the initial training and understanding on how to do this. So like you give them the OODA methods, you give them all of these like things, and they can sit there and like help fucking solve each other's problem. And that's really that's where what I
That's
envision.
fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I like that a lot, and I can
Yeah.
see
But
how.
to get to that mastermind, they would have to take that initial onboarding protocol to be able to actually function as a good like node in their own mastermind. So what you can do, and this is what I'm thinking, is you can have an introductionary course, which is basically SDP on crack. You know what I'm saying? Like you can take all of the knowledge that you've done over the past 20 years, all of that shit, and condense it into maybe like a 10 module process. So that by the end of that process, they are ready and eligible to get into the mastermind program. And in the mastermind program, that's where like you put those motherfuckers together to help all solve each other's problems. And make it, you have to make some rules, like in the mastermind. And so the
Well,
whole program is going to be like a 90-day purge. Like how do you
I guess you're gonna do like the Rosicrucian shit, where you're trying to like make the Christ anointing oil
In
go
a way,
up
in a
to.
way, I'm thinking like there's a couple of ways because like for example, that would be a more spiritual path to getting. There's a couple of ways to get out of addiction, right? There's people that get out of addiction because there's like some physical thing that they need to achieve. So for example, you can take that excess sexual energy and put it into working out and
Right.
then
Well, it's
transform your
creation
body.
energy, right?
Yeah,
So it's like,
exactly. And so by the end of 90 days, if you've done work on your body and eaten better and like, stopped watching porn and focus your mind on a particular goal. Let's say your goal is that physique. I want to get strong. I want to get thing and I want to get a chick. All right, that's a fucking goal. That's something you can work towards. And then if you have that goal, you'll achieve it by the end of 90 days. And that's the whole purpose of my program. It's not to sort of like um, cure you from wanking. It's curing you from being a wanker. That's the difference. Because at the end of the day, I might 100, 200 days wank it, watch porn and fall. It's possible. It's like easy to do in this world. Um, but I won't feel bad about it because I know I can walk my way back out. I know that what I'm doing, it's easy. And once you've cultivated the right mindset, it's not difficult. It's a very easy thing to do it. But most people that stuck in that loop, they're like fucking, they're just constantly wanking. And it gets more intense the worse your life gets. Like
right.
wanking is a coping
It's
mechanism.
it's
So,
escapism. Yeah. It's
yeah.
escapism.
So,
Sure.
yeah. So I get it. Like,
And the more you do it, the more you
you
want
are
it.
but also the reason I'm not writing it yet is because I have to achieve the 90 days myself. I can't teach until I've mastered it myself. And currently, like the furthest I've gone is like 30 something days. And so I'm like, okay. Well,
I think
let
that
me,
I've not gone past like 4 or 5 days.
yeah, exactly. No,
Yeah.
and it's crazy, dude, because when you get to a certain point, it actually changes you. Like, I remember the first time around, I was like 20 days in, and I was like, all of these motherfucking wankers in here probably relieved themselves in the last few days. Maybe some of them this morning, you know? I was like, and here I am, nutsack filled to the brim with pure power. You know, these people are nothing, and your confidence grows because you know you're just by fundamental mathematics, you're outperforming, at least in this one area, all of these other people that's a slave to their lust. They're still like in this compulsive behavior, and you're like, hey, I'm breathing better. I'm like, ah, get a little bit more energy. My mind's not so clogged with like mind pussy fluttering inside of your mind's eye, you know? And
Is masturbation bad?
no, masturbation ain't bad. Like, but the thing is, when you do it in conjunction with porn, you're creating like a feedback loop and it becomes stimulus. And then you see titty, you see ass, and then suddenly it's like, oh, dude, my dick's feeling, you know. And it's this polar energy. It goes from the top of your head, the eye corrupts, right? It goes into your mind. And then the tits and the ass and the pussy floats over there. And it sends signals down to the cock, like, you do, I really want that because there's a part of you of every man. It's like I want to fuck that pussy. Doesn't it's not that whether you love it or not. It's just that's hardwired into your
Masturbation.
genetics. And
Exactly.
so what you do then is you wank it and you're releasing all these dopamine surges. And so you're taking a physical action, connecting it to this image, you make yourself a little negative feedback loop. And then what typically happens is now you came, now you feel guilty. And then it sends you back down into that maybe not guilt like in the sense of like well, if you're deep into religious stuff, it will be like, oh my God, I'm fucking the worst shit on the planet. If you're not so religious, you might just be like, ah, I did it again. It's like I couldn't control myself. You realize that it's an action that takes over and that you aren't in control anymore. You say, well, no,
Exactly.
I can stop wanking whatever. Go for it. Recognize that in today's like OnlyFans dominated world where pornography is virtually everywhere. And there's kids that's like feels that their whole
Dude,
life is being destroyed just because they're stroking it. And it's like, well, first of all, dude, no, you're not. It's just the thing that you're in. But also, if you want to learn how to take that energy, that excess things, and deal with your shit, you need to learn to align yourself towards a goal and then work towards it. It's like fasting. If you're wank and that feeling comes up that you want to, but if you can hijack that feeling and say, hey, why don't you rather do this instead? Why don't you take this as a reminder that you're doing this? And then you redirect that energy. That energy then eventually like helps you achieve a goal. And that is your new force, like your new loop. Your new loop becomes achievement, not masturbatory, like running in circles, just fucking yourself.
that's your
That's the
satisfaction. Right.
yeah, and so if you
That's
and I
like
believe
you.
if you can align enough young men towards actually chasing their own purpose, and that would be the ultimate goal. It's like I'm not here to tell you purpose. I'm not here to tell you that you have this divine purpose, but I'm here to tell you that you can create purpose and you can set it into your like what do you truly want? Have you asked yourself that, or are you just too busy fucking your mind pussy? Like
Right.
that's the thing.
That's a good thing. It's a good thing. I might even think of the in the mastermind,
Yeah,
bringing you in
yeah,
one of the sessions where it's like, hey, let's talk about this. Because we all fucking do it. Any
yeah,
man that says they don't do it is a liar or
yeah.
fag or has no testosterone or whatever the fuck.
Fags do it too, man. Probably more.
Yeah, yeah, no, probably do it a lot, but I don't know. Something's fucking wrong with you if you're not jerking off, in today's age.
Yeah,
And I mean, back in the day, even the fucking whatever cavemen did it. We all fucking did
yeah,
it. We have it in us.
yeah,
And so, just this argument is like an act of self-discipline, and self-discipline is always
yeah,
like
yeah. Well,
verticalized in every
self-mastery. If you
area.
want to master yourself, you got to deal with your lust.
Right.
Like your lust is like yeah, it's a
Got to
convenient one
deal
to
with the
leave on the
seven
side.
sins in general.
Yeah,
Like
but
you got to
but
deal
your
with.
lust is definitely one thing, and it's something that holds most men. under its claw. It's
What
like,
does
and
most men do,
yeah,
but what does Rodriguez say? He says the dust will choke you, make you blind, and the lust will
yeah,
choke your
and the
mind.
lust will choke your mind.
Yeah. That
Yeah,
dude's a
and it's
fucking
true.
poet, man. He's a poet.
It's true. Well, I remember one day I was meditating and I watched porn in the morning or in the afternoon. I can't remember. I rubbed one out. And when I was meditating, it
Wiki
was
wiki
all
wow.
around. It was all around me in my mental space. There was porn, and it would flash, and it was like, and I was like, "Whoa, dude! It's like a cloud
Well, now you
that
can kind of see how Christians will say the demons will use those as doors to go into your, like it's an like to get into your mind. It's like to possess you in a way. The demons
Yeah,
will
well,
use porn.
totally. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of occult symbolism and stuff being sent out during that because if you're wanking it, you're opening yourself up, you're exchanging energy, you're literally like gifting your energy towards this image and saying here, and you're creating and like sending it over across time and space to that person. You want to know why OnlyFans chicks get so rich? It's because there's so many people wanking to that. And
Huh?
the
And they're
the
like, it's like their porn star, you know?
yeah,
It's not
exactly. Your
this
personal porn star, why
Khalifa
not?
or whatever the fuck,
Yeah.
like it's not that one that you're never gonna meet. Here,
Hmm.
this one you can interact with, dude. She writes shit back to you while she's
Yeah,
fucking that dude. You're a great
exactly.
cuck. You're an awesome cuck.
Exactly. Exactly. And then probably with AI, you're gonna have interaction too. So like
That's why
it's
people
only
like
gonna get more
their
personal.
wives getting fucked nowadays, because it's like live
Yeah,
porn. It's
yeah,
like
exactly.
crazy.
That's exactly. Cucking is the result of too much porn.
Yeah,
And
dude, it's live porn. It's like, oh, I
yeah,
can see somebody, and the only person, I'll just convince my wife,
yeah. It's
like,
like, dude, okay. Or you
and
could learn to become a fucking stallion yourself and learn that there's
yeah,
other
and
ways
what does that do to your self-worth? What does it do? Doesn't matter what
to
the fuck
yourself.
you say.
Self-worth is one thing, but it's also like you gave up on being able to become a phenomenal fucker.
Yeah,
Like you can be the best fucker in the world.
yeah,
You just need to like stop giving that energy
yeah,
away and
yeah.
understand that fucking is a
It's
very
energy
insane, it's a very insane exchange and it can become magical. And if
yeah,
you can like learn to control the nut, you can
to do
increase
sex magic.
pleasurability. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, you can crazy stuff. So it's like it's a potential that we're squandering